Hello! We are here with the second episode of Betty Club. That's why we're looking a bit weird.
Yeah, we didn't just come into the office.
Just like this. So today is Toiles. First Toiles for myself and Rosie. Then we'll do another episode with Jemima and Chloe.
Yes.
Because we thought there's going to be a lot to talk about in terms of fit. This is a very fitted dress. Fitted bodice. Not skirt, because it's a circle skirt for the Betty dress. So Betty Club, we're making our iconic Betty dress sewing pattern, which is a fit and flare, very classic, but we have different options for the neckline and the sleeves or no sleeves with the Betty add-on pack. So the whole team is making their own version.
Yes, and I think they're going to be vastly different.
Vastly different, actually, yeah. From the plans video, which we'll link to below, go and have a look to see what we aim to do. But before we even start thinking about styles and decoration, embellishments, Chloe, I'm looking at you. And we need to get the fit right.
Yes.
That's fundamental.
The most important job.
Absolutely.
I am an avid believer in toiles.
I wasn't, and since working here I have become one, and it's changed my life, honestly. The fit was vastly improved on everything.
And they never take as long as they
don't. And once you put in the effort at the start to fit it, then you can make it over and over again. You can start hacking, you can change everything to how you want it. Like it's
so good. I feel it helps you learn a lot.
So much.
About like pattern adjustments and how patterns work as well.
For you as well, like your pattern adjustments that you want to do every time. That's so useful, because then you come to a different pattern, you're like, I think this will work like I did on my Betty dress.
Exactly.
Game changer.
Yeah. Pro Toiles.
Pro Toiles. So that's why we're looking a bit odd in our things here. But we're going to start with you, Rosie.
Yes.
So first of all, we should say that you're making a sleeved version. Because that's different.
Sleeved and scoop neck.
Okay, scoop. So both options from the Betty add-on.
Yes.
Rather
that's
than the
true.
classic.
I'm going full on
add-on.
And yeah, with the skirt, it's just full circle skirt. I've ignored the skirt for now.
For now, yeah, same. I'm only bodice today.
Yeah, I very rarely, if I'm making a skirt, I won't make much adjustment. No. So for me, that's fine.
Also, a circle skirt is literally, it just needs to fit at the waist.
Yeah.
Which will be led by the bodice.
Exactly that. So, I've made 2 toiles.
Okay.
This is toile 1.
Did you make any adjustments before you even made a toile?
Yeah, I thought the best way to attack it was to do my classic sew over it alterations, which is smaller size at the shoulders, so 16 at the shoulders, 18 everywhere else, and then a full bust adjustment, which essentially makes it into sort of a 20 around my bust.
Right.
But it's still then a nice 18 across the back.
Very nice.
Because I don't need more room there, I just need it across the front. So that is my go-to for sew over it.
And when you say go to for sew over it, so different pattern companies use a different block.
Yes.
So for example, I'm quite lucky that I'm quite close to the sew over it blocks, so I need less adjustments than say if I'm making a pattern from a different company, I make way more adjustments.
Yeah, exactly.
And for you, you've just learned over the years, 1, 2, 3 is what I need to adjust on these patterns.
Exactly.
So useful once you know.
It's like it comes part of the process of cutting out the pattern. Just as I cut out, do those alterations.
Change, done.
Yeah. But obviously with something new and something so fitted.
Yes.
Then it's important to check that that works. And I also looked at the height of the bust dart. On Betty.
Okay.
And it looked a little bit too high for me, so I moved it down. So that is the one thing that I did that I don't usually do.
Oh.
And it turned out to be the one thing I did not need.
It's wrong, no! So trust your instincts, basically.
I know,
That's interesting.
So, if I come a bit closer, hopefully you'll see. So I've got 2 slightly different sides to my bodice. This side is the one that I sewed. So I sewed it all up, but I've unpicked one and changed it. So this is the original with my original changes. And you can see this side, this bust dart here, is sitting, if I kind of get it into the right place, it's sitting way too low. It's sort of sitting, so it's pointing here, and actually my bust is here. So
you shouldn't have lowered it.
Mistake one. I needed the room.
Yeah.
I needed the room for the FBA, but I didn't need to move it. And then that also meant that this one was ending in the wrong place as well. And I also found that actually throughout the front, I had quite a lot of room.
Excess.
And when I first put it on, I was like, wow, it's not right. Oh, heck. But actually, just just standing in front of the mirror and pinching things.
Yeah.
And being like, what happens when I do this? What happens when I do this? And I just pinched a chunk out of the middle. So this is kind of a diagonal line, so it goes down to nothing.
A wedge.
About here. A wedge.
A wedge.
A wedge is the word. And instantly,
that's amazing.
It fitted better.
And that's so. You and I are both quite big fans of doing adjustments on the paper.
Yes.
But I'm learning that there's some things you just need to do on the fabric.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because like you said, like, oh, just pinch that. Oh, look at
all
the
of a
difference.
Sudden, yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly that. So
a combo of both things. So you did your adjustments on paper to begin with, then you readjusted
on my toile, and then on this side.
I love that you've got 2 toiles on one bodice.
I moved this dart into the right position, so it's now sitting a lot better. Nice. And this one as well. It's mostly this one that I moved. It's a tiny bit lower than the one on the pattern, but I think I just did it wrong.
Maybe you just went too drastic.
I think I did, and it was just on autopilot or something. Yeah. So it's just like good lesson is just to always double check.
Yeah.
Because you might be like, bum, and then it's not quite right. So there was that, and then on the back, which is my unaltered one, I think is this one, was just had a little bit of gaping, so I just popped.
Oh yeah, I can see a little dart here. Do you want to come closer to the camera? Sorry. Yeah. It's this little dart that she's scooped out, and it fits much better.
Yeah.
Betty has a zip at the back, but you've done exactly what I've done, which I've left the side open just because it's easier to pin yourself here than it is at the back, mainly.
Yes, for toiles, that is perfect.
It's just easier, but we're also considering maybe moving the zip, right?
Yeah.
I'm still unsure which way I'm going to go.
I think I'm going to go centre back.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
I think it's very classic.
Yeah.
I do like that. But we'll see.
So easy to put it in the side.
But for toiling, I think basically we've both sewn up the centre back. Also because you want to check the fit of that. And it's harder if you're just pinning it.
Exactly.
Whereas that you can see, oh yeah, look at the difference when you pinch out that wedge.
That's it.
It looks,
much
nicer.
Better.
Flat.
And it means it's kind of just sitting, because it's tighter on the back, it's then sitting nicer here as well.
Oh, yeah, of course.
But thinking about other things, my shoulder seams are sitting really nicely on the shoulders.
Lovely.
My side seams, which is right this is the good side.
This is a good side.
That's pretty damn straight, I think. Is it just pinned it?
Very badly. There you go. Live action pinning.
And then thinking about the waist, this is actually hitting, now I'm thinking about it, pretty much my trousers. So actually I probably want seam allowance on top of that.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, the skirt will pull it down a little bit, but so I would be tempted, my instinct to say add a centimetre.
For safety.
Yeah, and then rely on the skirt bringing it down a little bit to just
because it's kind of perfect right now, but that's not. Yeah, that's including seam allowance, so you'd lose 1.5 centimetres.
Exactly.
So all these things to consider.
That's it.
But amazing fitting work.
Thanks.
So what did you do after your Frankenstein of 2 sides?
Well, I thought obviously because I'm going to do the version with sleeves.
Yes.
I wanted to try it with sleeves, and I wasn't too worried about sort of this. I've got a bit of room up here. If this was a sleeveless bodice, I would have pinched out a bit here. But you need that room for sleeves.
Absolutely.
So I thought I guess this is toile like 1 and 1.5.
Yeah, I like that.
And toile 2. I changed all of these changes officially on my pattern, so I can just show you actually quickly.
This is
my very messy pattern.
But you've got to go through it though.
You do. You can see this blue was my original dart.
That's so
purple,
different, the height.
Much higher. And then actually I forgot that on this dart here at the waist under my bust, I actually curved it. So the lines aren't straight.
What does that do?
It just, I think it might be a bigger bust thing. It just allows you to sort of scoop out more. It means that the shape under your bust is a bit more like scooped.
That's
rather
lovely.
Than going straight down from my bust. It's going under. Because it is fitted, so do you know what? I want it fitted.
Yeah, no, the whole point of Betty is fit. We're not going to make a roomy Betty.
No, exactly.
Interesting, I've not come across that.
Just having a dart. And as long as your 2 dart legs match, kind of doesn't, and that works for you, as long as the length of them matches.
Yeah.
And you can sew them in that sort of shape, or maybe sew them in a concave.
Yes, no, I
shape.
have actually looked into curved darts back in the day. Yes,
and it just changes that shape a little bit.
Yes, so it's either that or that.
Or that. Or middle normal dart straight.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's no rules.
That's
as long as they
so
match
cool.
in length, that is the rule, so there is a rule.
You can't have like
yeah.
an askew dart.
Yeah, then you'll end up in a mess.
Confusing, yeah.
So
amazing. 12, 1 and 1.5. Rosie's now going to change into 12, 2. 12, 2. Here we go.
12,
That's
2.
an interesting choice of.
This is what I'm going to do for the final version. Do you not like it? Yeah, it's proof that trolls can be made from anything.
Yes, absolutely. Anything you've got to hand.
Yes. So obviously I put sleeves on this one. So I did all the changes that I wanted from the first toile, the first 1.5.
From your right hand side of your toile.
Yes, from my very original one. And I also scooped the neckline a bit more because I'd taken that wedge out of the centre front. So it had brought the neckline in a little bit, and I've scooped it out. And actually, I think that I've gone too far on that.
Ah, okay.
Because this has still got seam allowance on. And actually, this is probably more like what I'd like it to be as a finished.
So that means you need a little bit extra.
Need to add seam allowance back on. Easy job. That's
easy.
Absolutely fine. I also usually can usually it fits better with a size 16 sleeve for me, whereas I'm an 18 kind of overall.
Interesting.
Not in Betty.
Not in Betty. Because again, very fitted sleeve,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, it's the vibe.
It's the vibe. It's so fitted, fitted.
So, although kind of here it looks nice, I can just feel it's a little bit tight. I think for movement, just a bit more room in the sleeves, and I can tell that because it's when I move forward, it's pulling across the back, but actually it's pulling here. That's where that pulling's coming from. Ooh.
She's coming down.
Pinned it.
She's coming down.
I'm pegged at the back.
We've got a beautiful job here with pegs. So this, we should say that you left the side open for the first twirl. This time you went for the back because you know that the back fits on that one.
Yes.
Like you were happy with the fit of the back. You wanted to get the front.
That's it.
To look at the front.
Yes, and make sure it was all fitting here nicely.
Great.
So the side wasn't open. So yeah, on the back of this one, I'm going to bring the neckline in. I'm going to go to an 18 on the sleeves rather than 16, just to give myself that little bit of wiggle room. The back, I'm pretty pleased with.
I mean, especially with the pegs. I think
especially with the pegs. But one thing I learned from this twirl is I didn't properly true all my seams after my alterations.
Oh.
And my front, if I lift up so you can see,
my
front is longer than the back.
It is interesting.
So lesson learned that I think even if you're happy with all your alterations, doing that final twirl really helps because it'll help you not have any unexpected things happening whilst you're sewing up your precious version.
Yes.
So I think because maybe my dart is now a tiny bit smaller. So
that would affect, of course, that would affect the fabric usage.
Exactly, yes. So I do think, and I haven't added on that extra bit that I was just talking about of length. So I'll make sure this is all the same. And I think add a centimetre.
Where the front is hitting is exactly right as a finished length.
Yes.
Bodice, so you need that extra little bit. Interesting.
So I am thinking of doing one last one.
Yeah.
I think to make sure I get all my seams so they're perfect after my alterations, and make sure I'm really happy with the neckline and that it is what I think it is. That it is the sleeves are a bit too small.
Yeah. Would you do the full? So the sleeve is a 3/4 length.
Yeah.
You obviously just did the beginning just to give you an idea. Would you do another 12 with the right length?
I mean, I may as well.
Right.
Yeah. Because then I suppose toiles as well, I mean, it depends on the fabric you choose, but it gives you an idea visually as well. It's not always about the fit, it's like, do I like the sleeve length?
Yeah, also, that's very true, yeah.
Style-wise, I guess.
Yeah.
Does this work with what I visualised?
Yeah.
So, yes, I probably should do one final toile, I think.
Nice.
With the aim that is the be-all and end-all.
Yeah. Perfect.
But yeah, it wasn't madly out of my wheelhouse what I've had to do.
Because we're very used to altering our patterns and doing our fit adjustments, but Betty is one of the very first patterns that Sew Over It released before either of us were here.
Yeah.
And our fit, I would say, has changed a bit. We now do things a little bit more relaxed. This is a very vintage style.
Yes.
So the fit is different from the ease is different from our new patterns,
exactly,
I would say, for sure.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, absolutely.
We leave a little bit more wiggle room these days. We like things that we can be active in.
Yes.
And Betty is not that. And that's absolutely fine. It's
that's
that kind of dress. It's a pretty dress. So we're getting used to that, I think.
I think so, yeah. Absolutely.
It's not just automatic fitting what we usually do. It's like, oh, let's think about this. Like, yeah.
Absolutely.
So worth doing all the toiles, I would say, yeah.
Worth doing all the toiles. So I think with 2 toiles and some pattern alterations, it took me about that in total. I did it in little blocks, but it took me maybe about 2.5, 3 hours.
That's really good.
So it's not a huge
it took
amount
me
of time.
longer, but I'm like less handy with the alterations. So, but yeah, that's okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah. It's an afternoon, it's an evening
before
you get going with the proper thing, but it will make a huge difference.
Yes, absolutely well worth it.
Yeah, that's great. Okay. And so interesting. I hope that it's as interesting to you guys to see this, because I find it fascinating just looking around at what everyone's doing in the office, and it just gives you learn. Even if it's not the same alterations that you need, you learn how to think about it.
That's it, it's the approach, isn't it? And I think not to be scared about
getting it wrong.
Get it wrong, pin stuff.
Yeah.
Look at it and trust your judgment. Because it's kind of like, there might be official ways of how things are supposed to fit, but actually what you're making, you've got to make it so, you like it. So just pin it until you like it.
Absolutely.
And then that's your alterations. Don't get caught up in official things, I think. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Anyway, moral of the day. On to you, Alma.
Hey. So, I did 2 toiles as well. I wanted to change something on paper before I even got started, because I knew there would be a few tweaks. Now, one thing to say about me is that I have a bit of a phobia of sleeveless patterns. And I wanted to make a sleeveless Betty. Mm-hmm. So I went in thinking, this might be tricky for me. There's something about my torso it's not good friends with sleeveless things, okay? I just understood that. And so I thought, I'm not just gonna I'm usually size 10 with our patterns, but that's mostly sleeved things that I make a size 10. And as we've discussed, you've always got extra little fabric because of the sleeves for the movement, so that's never a problem for me. But I knew that making a straight size 10 for a sleeveless pattern would have excess fabric all over. I just knew it. And so before I even went in, what I did is I watched a very handy tutorial on Stitch School. For all our premium subscribers, go and have a look, because we have the full Betty workshop, which is like make it from start to finish, every version. That's super useful, and we've got some fitting advice in there. Mm-hmm. But there's another tutorial that is fitting the Betty dress with Julie. I can't remember the name exactly, I'll link it down below. But basically Julie fits the Betty dress on you, on Becca and Lisa.
On Lisa,
So useful.
Really useful. And 3 quite different shapes.
So different. And she just says, it's what you were saying, it's not necessarily like the usual bust adjustments, which I thought maybe I would need. I don't think I do. Because I think I'm C cup, but that's I'm a dressmaker's B cup.
Yes.
Which is what our patterns are drafted for. So I thought, that's not the problem, that is not the bust, it's something up here. Yeah. And in those videos, I think it's to you that she recommends it, and maybe also to Becca, she talks about doing a smaller size at the shoulders, which I've never in my life done.
Really?
Never thought of it, never thought it would apply to me, I don't know. And I did that for the first toile, which is what I'm wearing, sorry. So before I sewed anything up, I basically graded from a size 8 at the shoulders to basically just before the armpit.
Yeah.
No, or at the armpit. No, just before the armpit, I went to a 10.
Yeah.
So that at the bust, it would be
You're
a 10.
a 10 by the time you
10
hit
by
that
the time I
underarm
hit
seam.
here, exactly. So I changed that, and also I added a little bit of, a 1/4 inch at the waist side seam, but that means that's an inch
width
all along. Is it? Yeah, width.
Yeah.
Right? Because I just
1,
added
2,
it.
3, 4. Yeah.
So I added an inch effectively to the waist.
That makes you like a 10.5.
Yes.
At the waist.
Exactly. And that's because I saw the finished garment measurements and I was like, that's like just enough.
Yeah, it's tight.
That's tight. And I thought, I'm going to add it. If I then, when I make it, feel like it's too wide, then I'll slim it down. But I just want the option. And having made the toile, I'm like, that's comfy. That's got, that's fitting a few fingers in there. I'm like, that's okay. I want it. I want that kind of ease. So again, that's not necessarily fit alteration. It's a fit.
It's a you
style. It's a me alteration. Yeah, it's like, what do I want from this dress?
Yes.
I don't want it too tight here, but I want it fitting
nice
here.
and snug here.
So yeah, you make all these decisions as you go along. So I made this toile and I was amazed already. Like, this is much more successful than any sleeveless toile I've ever done before. So Julie unlocked that for me. The smaller shoulders grade into your usual bust. So happy. But what I did is I've turned under all the seam allowances, so I am looking at I was quite diligent.
This is why yours took longer, because you've copied your pattern pieces onto nice pattern pieces as well.
I traced it, I made my adjustments, then I sewed basically the seam allowance. I just sewed a stitch and pressed it under so I can see exactly where it's finishing. And I also, like your first toile, I did a side seam basically, so that I could see the back, which I'm very happy with.
Really nice
how
shape.
It sits.
Yeah.
Love that V.
Yeah.
I was concerned about whether it would be too low and not cover the bra strap. It covers the bra strap so well. It's there.
Yeah, got like an inch at least.
But that's something I wanted to check. Perfect to do it for the 12.
Yeah.
Great. So I'm very happy. One thing that I was like not super into is how wide it is. Now the design is a boat neck. Mm-hmm. It is absolutely wide. That's the style. It's a vintage style. But you can just basically, if I put my bra straps where they need to be, you're gonna see them.
Yeah.
And narrow shoulder adjustment is something I do often for our patterns. And I thought I probably need it, but let me just try it. Because I'd already changed one thing.
You'd already gone to that smaller size, so.
So I thought maybe I don't need it because I've gone down. That's why we 12.
Yeah.
I found out that I did need it. So yeah, it's a beautiful shape, but I just don't want my straps to show. I just don't want it.
I think that's fair.
Which is, again, it's maybe just a me thing, but yeah, I decided that I definitely wanted to change that. In terms of where it hits, I thought I might need to shorten it. It's not. So this is
I think that's where that seam will be.
Thing, yeah. So that's with the seam allowance turned under, and I'm very happy. It's literally where you fold is where it's hitting. It will change a bit when the skirt is on because it will be a heavy skirt. And I did do this just to show. It's gonna look insane, but
I love this system. Transform.
Because I couldn't be bothered for the first 12 to make a skirt. No. And I will probably 12 the skirt because I'm doing some design interest things with my skirt. If you look at the plans, you'll find out. But basically, I just put lots of clothes specs.
This is revolutionary.
To kind of weigh down, but I put way more. But it's it just gives you a little idea of how that's going to fit. And I like that. I like that. It made me go like, yeah, that's right. That's where I want it.
I think, because you often think like I know this neckline isn't perfect yet, but I can feel it rising up on my shoulders. And you might get like so hung up on that, but actually once you just walk around with that little bit of weight on it.
It's a lot of weight. It's a
full circle.
That's a lot
it's
of weight.
Gonna sort of solve it might sort it's gonna help.
Yeah, because in my head at the beginning I was thinking I just need to twirl the bodice, just need to do that. But now I'm thinking I will make a full twirl at some point.
That's good.
I just think I want to see the full effect.
Yeah.
So we'll see if I do it. But I'm going to show you what I did next, which was the narrow shoulder adjustment. I'll change into that second twirl. Twirl number 2. And I've just come up with a little hack, by the way. So instead of pinning my side seam, I decided to use this is tape, I don't know what it's called.
So just
double-sided tape that you can iron on and it holds stuff together. But then it goes off in the wash. It disappears in the wash. I use it to stick down my invisible zips. And it has changed my life.
Game changer.
Game changer. I will be using it for Betty for sure. But I just double-sided taped my side seam. It's great.
That's pretty good.
That's very good. I can't move around much, but like just to see the final result.
Yeah, I mean that toile is looking nice.
Thank you. Now the fabric's cuter than the last one. This is basically little Betty dresses all around. I've had this cotton just like, I think I've made little bags and things like that from it. But I thought this is calling out to be, to be a Betty toile. So the only difference is from the previous toile is that I did a narrow shoulder adjustment. And I'm so happy.
Yeah.
My bra strap is there, completely safe.
Perfectly centered.
Closed.
But it's still got that wide boat neck vibe.
The style is still there.
Yeah.
I just think it was a touch too wide on me.
Yeah.
And also, look at where that's finishing. So again, I've turned under the seam allowance.
Yeah.
That's on the knobbly bit of the shoulder, which is exactly where I want it. A technical term.
Yeah.
I'm so happy with it. Honestly, the way I went into this process, I was like, this is going to be so hard, so hard, so hard. Changed my life. Thank you, Julie, as always.
Yeah.
She speaks the truth and the wisdom. So, total alterations on this toile, which I'm very happy with, is grading from a smaller size to my usual size of the bust, from the shoulders to the bust. Also, an inch total added at the waist, which honestly, I don't think that's massive.
No.
It doesn't look too big, so I think I'll keep it. And then a 1.5, let me just get the paper. Yes, 1.5 narrow shoulder adjustment. That's quite big actually, 1.5 is quite a lot. I thought of doing less and I thought of doing more and I just went for the middle.
It's a good place to start.
It's a good place to start and I'm so happy with it. Honestly, like it was just like it hit the spot. And for that, we handily have a very specific stitch core tutorial that's about narrow shoulder adjustments on thin straps.
Yes.
And it's demonstrated on the Betty bodice.
That's
so I was like,
perfect.
oh my god, I've used it before, but never for Betty. And I thought, oh, this is ideal.
This makes total sense.
This is absolutely perfect. And it is basically, you kind of twist, you trace your pattern and you twist your pattern to fit the new lines. It's something like that. It doesn't make sense if I just say it. Go and have a look at the class. We'll link to it below. And what it does, it obviously moves in the shoulders, but also what you did separately, it takes out a little wedge at the front, which means that the front neckline, it usually fixes
any
gaping.
That's interesting.
It's very interesting because you're twisting, you're kind of moving,
pivoting, and maybe I could have gone that way as well.
Potentially.
I've gone, yeah.
Oh no, don't start again,
no, and please
you've done it.
Yeah.
But for future reference, have a look at that tutorial because it's really, really handy. And yeah, so I've virtually taken a little wedge without doing that step, just by doing the narrow shoulder adjustment. And of course, I did the narrow adjustment on the front and the back.
So then it will match.
Remember to match it, And yeah, honestly, I could not be happier with where it's hitting in terms of bra coverage.
That's nice. I was just thinking about that because I quite often, not in all patterns, I think, this might be broad strokes, but I feel like people that do full bust adjustments often end up with gaping necklines just because we're bigger here and it's tricky to make it to go in a lot there. So it might be that you might not have narrow shoulders, but a narrow shoulder adjustment might work because in comparison to your bust you have narrow shoulders. Because I don't think practically, compared to anyone else, I've got narrow shoulders.
But you do adjust
I
the
always
shoulders.
have to adjust the shoulders.
That's very interesting.
Yeah, that some adjustments might actually give you results other than what they're
that's literally what this is. Yeah, you get a secondary adjustment that's like a bonus. You're like, oh great.
Yeah, I did that as well. Fantastic. Yeah, 2 for 1.
2 for 1. Which is
I just done that actually because I didn't show you guys. Let me just the bit at the front on mine. I said I pinched a section out of the front, and just to show you what that means is. My pan pieces are not as nice as Alma's. It's just this bit that I've just folded out now. So I pinched out 1 centimetre at the top, and then that goes down to nothing about there. it should really sort of go all the way down. As long as that front edge is a really nice straight line, you can still cut it on the fold.
Because it will just twist a little bit. But that's what mine does. Mine's twisted.
That's the whole thing, yeah.
So it's the same. It's the same adjustment. What? This is so interesting, though. Yeah. Because we didn't know.
No.
Basically, on paper, it's the same adjustment. We just went around it in a different order, sort of thing. But we've ended up changing the same thing. I am now so curious to see what Jemima and Chloe do, because what if we're all doing the same thing, but just like calling it different things?
And I always find it bizarre with me and Chloe, because we've got very similar measurements, but actually sort of almost have different shapes.
Yes.
And do different adjustments. Okay, stay tuned.
But you also have shared clothes, like clothes that you made for yourself, and she's wearing them.
Yeah. It's a win-win for us.
It's a win for everyone. But yes, I would say we're both in a good place.
Yes. Yeah.
Happy with the toiling process. So next steps,
I think one final toile, in the hope that it is like.
We should talk about fabrics for toiling.
Oh yeah.
So we've both used cottons. Yeah. That I'm guessing we just had in our stash.
Yeah.
Yeah. My final dress, I do now have the fabric. I'll show it in another vlog. But it's basically a very fake silk. It's polyester.
Full on polyester.
Full on polyester.
It's gonna be glorious.
Because this dress is like a fantasy, so I don't care as much about how much variability I can get from it. I usually stay far away from poly, but we'll see. Anyway, so that might change how things sit, but I can't really. Well, maybe I can do a toile if I'm careful with the cutting out, but I don't really want to. I feel like I've used poplin and it's okay.
Yeah,
it's actually not. It's not a slinky silk. It's a sturdy.
I think that's more. It's more about the drape, really.
The drape, yeah,
the drape
and it's very stiff, so it crunches up deliciously. This polyester. So I think that's just an added dimension. It shouldn't behave too differently from this. So I'm okay with that. But you're actually using a cotton, so you've done the right thing.
So yeah. If anything, my first one was potentially a little bit too heavy.
Oh right, fair. Which was this fabric.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But then this one.
Whereas that's a lawn.
Yeah. This is actually what I got, but I got a lot of it for my lining.
Oh yeah, because Rosie's lining the full thing.
It's really fancy.
So nice. So the pattern is finished with the facing usually. Yeah. I'm also thinking of lining it because it's
the whole polyester situation.
It's going to be scratchy. It's like taffeta. Like, oh no. So I'll line it with lawn, I think.
Yeah. And then for that, we're just in a second bodice, basically.
Yeah, you cut two.
Yeah. Fine. So if you're very clever, actually, that's what I thought I would do with this one. I will make my final toile out of my lining fabric in the hope that I can actually use it as my lining piece.
That's genius.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you're sort of not wasting.
But you're also doing
it's
that
not a massive loss if it doesn't work.
Nice.
So yeah, double whammy. But yeah, positive.
Very positive, and it just makes you more excited about the finished thing.
Yes,
I think,
it
right?
does.
You can visualize it now.
The swirling already.
The swirling. I'm so excited. I feel even in this like novelty print. I'm like, oh, if it's
it would totally work in this.
It would make a delightful Betty. It's just like, where am I wearing it? I don't know. But where am I wearing my other one? Never mind. It's a fantasy. Your dress will actually be worn, which is great.
So, yeah.
It's beautiful.
It's going to be my smart dress for sure.
Lovely.
But yeah, totally wearable. We'll see.
Yes.
Anyway, so next time we've got Jemima and Chloe.
Toiles.
So
similar format to this.
Yeah.
Hopefully completely different stuff.
Yeah.
But maybe not. Who knows? But we thought we'd split it into because there's so much to talk about.
Yes.
So I look forward to that. Go and look back at our plans if you want to hear what the actual dress styles that we're doing are. We'll put the link below. And we'll just chip away at these Bettys for the next few weeks, months. We don't know. We don't have a deadline. We're just making it because it's an exciting learning process.
It is. It's about the process as much as the result.
Exactly.
And actually, there's been a few comments on our plans vlog about people that are going to join in with us and make their own Betty when they've been sitting on the pattern for a while. So I mean, that's just the nicest thing in the world.
So happy.
So So do let us know if you're going to make a Betty, or if you've got any Betty tales, or Betty fitting tips, or just any Betty goss.
Betty goss.
Where did you wear your
Where did you wear your Betty? That's a big question.
Yeah. Where should we wear our Bettys when we finish them all?
Yes.
Amen.
To high tea.
Yes, too fancy.
Oh, very exciting. Right, give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, subscribe to our channel, and we'll see you again very, very soon. Bye.